Hello everyone, welcome back to the fourth part of how to improve your middle game. In today's video, we are going to discuss the fourth question, which is which of my pieces can be happier? And again, we are going to discuss 5 critical diagrams. And after watching this video, your knowledge about the middle game perspective will completely be changed, and it will be simply increased by 100%. So I don't want to waste any further time, so let's quickly jump into the video. So we have the first position on our board. So we are playing with the white pieces. I want all of you guys to pause the video and try to think how should white try to continue in this position. Okay, so if you found this idea, it's a good idea. Bishop to a4. And what's the plan? What's the plan or the idea of bishop a4 here is? Like talking about this position first of all, let's start from absolutely zero. Which of my what are the weaknesses of my opponent? I will say that e5 pawn is a weakness, but yeah, which of the weaknesses are mine? I don't see any particular weaknesses in our structure. Third, which side is stronger? Both the king side is having 2 pawns, center is pretty much closed up, and yeah, I won't say that there is any side we are stronger because both the sides we are having equal pawns. So finally, we come to the fourth question, which is which of my pieces can be happier? And now, like talking about this position, there are light squares. The pawns are on the light squares, and we have a light square bishop. So the bishop is not technically happy. The bishop would be happy if the bishop would simply reach on d5. It is the most ideal square for the bishop. We would also like to put the knight on d5, but it's not really possible because every square is covered by the pawn. So now, how can we really put the bishop on d5? A good idea is to play the move bishop a4. And if you found this move, congratulations. We simply hit the rook back, and now we play the move bishop to c6, hitting the rook move, and now we can simply play the move bishop to d5 check. If you found this idea, you're already better than yesterday. King h8, and now here, how can you continue this position? Now, h4. h4 is already very strong because now we can already say that we are stronger on the king side, so it's a good idea to play on the king side. That's the reason we play the move h4, because we want to put the knight on g5. And if black tries to play the move h6, trying to cover the g5 square, still knight g5. And now rook f7 is our plan. So if black will capture the knight, now comes the move queen to h5, and it's a checkmate, the game is over. So this is how putting your bad piece on a good square can help you try to get a better position or even a winning position. So this was the first diagram. So now let's move on to the second diagram. So we have the second diagram on our board. I want all of you guys to pause the video and try to think what should be the idea of white. Okay, so let's start again from the zero. What are the weaknesses of black? I would say the weakness of black is the e6 pawn because it's a backward pawn. Second, what is the weaknesses in our position? I won't say that there are any particular weaknesses. So which of the side we are stronger? I would say that like in the king side we have 3 pawns. In the center, black is having 1 extra pawn, but it is backward pawn. But on the queen side, we are stronger. It can be an idea to play on the queen side in the future by moving the knight and trying to play b3 c4, trying to open up the position. But coming to the fourth question, which of the pieces can be happier? The knight is on the b3. Is the knight on b3 happier? I don't think so, because the b6 pawn covers the a5 and the c5 square from the knight. So what is the other most ideal square for the knight? I would say the knight should be on e5 because it is the most ideal square for the knight. We can play the move knight c1, queen g7, knight d3, and now we simply put the knight to e5. And you can see how white is even stronger. And now what should be the idea of white to continue the game? You can just simply make a triple battery, and now simply capture the bishop, and you can simply capture the e6 pawn and eventually win the game. This is how you should play this particular position, by making your worst piece the best piece. So this was the second diagram. So now let's move on to the third diagram. So we have the third diagram on a board. So it's white to play. I want all of you guys to pause the video and try to think what should white continue in this position. Okay, so all of you guys, let's try to discuss what are the weaknesses of our opponent, I don't think that there is any particular weaknesses. Talking about the second point, what is the weaknesses in our possession? I would say the e3 pawn is a bit weak, but it can't really be targeted until the queen penetrates in the possession or the rook penetrates in the possession. Coming to the third question, which side of the board we are stronger? I don't think that we are stronger in any particular side, because we are having 3 pawns on the queen side against 3 pawns. Again, we are having 4 pawns on the king side versus 4 pawns. So we aren't really stronger in any side of the board. So coming to the fourth point, which of the pieces can be happier? So discussing this position, the bishop on h2 is extremely bad, blocked by his own pawns. So it's a good idea to put the bishop, but where to put this bishop is the big question. If you found the answer, the bishop would be the most strongest on this particular diagonal. Kudos to you. But how can you really put this bishop on this particular diagonal? By playing the move bishop to g3. Bishop g3, bishop c6, and now comes the move bishop to e1. The idea is to put the bishop to c3. And now the bishop goes to c3. And now we will try to continue this position. How can he improve further? You can just make a double battery on this particular diagonal, and you can already sense how this diagonal is already very crucial and very critical, and white is already having a practically like a very better position. You can just double up on the d file and you are already having a winning position. So this is how you must play, just improving your worst piece, putting the dark square bishop from the worst square to the best square. So this was the third diagram. So now let's move on to the fourth diagram. So coming on to the fourth diagram, we have this particular position on our board, and we are playing with the black pieces, and I want all of you guys to pause the video and try to think how should black try to continue this position. Okay, so if you found this idea, f4, kudos to you. f4 is a brilliant idea, and it's not really easy to find if you are not aware of these questions and or how to solve these questions. f4 is a very interesting move. What is the idea of f4? Like, talking about this position, what is the most ideal square for the knight? I don't see any particular ideal square for the knight. But when we play the move f4, now let's try to think about this position. What should be the most ideal square for the knight? I particularly think that the knight should be on e3 because it is already defended by the pawn. So it's a good idea after f4, bishop e1, bishop d1, to play the move knight f5, making a square for the knight. And now knight will simply jump on e3. For example, after a3, knight e3, you can already sense how this knight is way stronger compared to the bishop, and we are already having a better position. So this is how you must think what is the best square for your piece, and you must make a way for your piece to go there, and you must have a good position. So yeah, this is how you should continue. So this was the fourth diagram. So now let's move on to the final diagram of the day. So we have the fifth and the final diagram on our board. So we are playing with the white pieces, and I want all of you guys to pause the video and try to think how should white try to continue in this position. Okay, so if you found this idea, like, let's try to think from the start. What is the weaknesses of our opponent in this position? I would say that the c6 is the weakness, but it can't really be captured. So I don't particularly think that there are any particular strong weaknesses that we can target. Coming to our weaknesses, I don't think I see any particular weakness. Coming to the third question, which side of the board we are stronger? So talking about the queen side, we are having 3 pawns against 3 pawns. So I don't think that we are stronger on the queen side. Talking about in the center, we have 2 pawns against 2 pawns. Again, I don't think that we are stronger on the center. And on the king side, we have 2 versus 2. But a small difference here is we are having most of our pieces looking at the king side. So it's a good idea to play on the king side. But how can you do so? How should I try to improve my pieces? Coming to the fourth question. So I would like to put my knight on f5. I would like to open up my bishop. But how can I do so? I cannot put my knight on f5 because I want to go on h4, but I can't really because the g5 pawn is simply covering it. So how can I make the way? I can play the move h4, which is very strong. And after playing the move h4, you can already sense that we won't target the g5 pawn. So black doesn't have any more options but to capture the pawn. And after g into h4, we can already capture the pawn with the knight. And our idea is already to play the move knight f5, putting more pressure on the g7 bishop. And second, now we have finally opened up our bishop on d2, which can go to h6 and try to checkmate the black king. So already speaking, it's already a winning position for white. This is how you must continue. Like if black plays some random move like a5, now comes knight f5. It's already game over for black. So this is how you must continue, how you must play. Answer the fourth question, which of my pieces can be happier? And by answering this question, you are already going to achieve a good position. So yeah, that's it for today. We have discussed 5 critical diagrams, and I hope that after watching this video, your knowledge in the middle game simply improved by 100%. If it did, then make sure to like the video, share this video with everyone, and make sure to subscribe to our channel if you are new to our channel. I'm going to come up with these exciting videos like this, so till then stay tuned and keep watching Oneshot Chess.